Situation. Those questions I was asking earlier when we were talking about UConn. What is the situation? If this is true, this is going to be horrible for college sports in general, but college football. This is going to be an example that people are going to use for whatever, that they want, for whatever agenda that they have. But this is also going to be something they're going to use as far as discussing safety, or this is what they're going to use to discuss having the kids' interest, first instead of the business interest. Now, this player, like I said, is anonymous and does not want to come out. We always wait for after an investigation to, go deeper into it. Would I be surprised if all this became true? No. And that's the bad part, that I wouldn't be surprised. The biggest really thing, from that is who else is doing it? Because it's not just one program. Sad to say, there is money to be made off of these kids playing regardless of what, happens. Because there's going to be another crop of kids that's going to come in, another class of, student class that's going to come in after them. And the schools are going to do what they've been doing. But the investigation is ongoing right now. To me, I think other things will, come from this. But it's scary, very scary, if you have grown people trying to influence kids to not reveal anything about maybe having symptoms for the benefit of the almighty dollar. That is a scary, scary situation. So we will definitely keep our eye on this one to find out what is the outcome, of this. The outcome of this segment is that we're going to take another break. When we come back from the break, we're going to stay in college, but we're going to talk about opt-outs in college, the NBA and this whole bubble thing. And at the very end, ladies and gentlemen, I'm handing out a Big L award. Someone's going to be labeled a loser. Who could it be? Only way to find out is sticking around. We'll be back after these words.
We all hate when we have unexpected car problems. Well, I am here to tell you about a viable solution. Bay 11 Auto and my man Melvin. You have emission problems? Brakes need changing? Transmission slipping? Is your car just driving sluggish? No problem is too big. I live on the other side of town and I drive over an hour to a guy that I trust. Melvin is honest, dependable, and definitely not in the business to break your pockets. Come see the official mechanic Melvin at Bay 11 Auto. You will be glad you did. You can reach him at 1455 General Arts Road, Conyers, Georgia, or 404-295-5715. That's 404-295-5715.
We don't take orders from super fools. We give them.
X gon' give it to you.
Any and all resistance will crumble. Nonsense. There's never been a threat
Squad
couldn't handle. It is the purpose of the
Squad
to align our infamous forces against the powers of good and defeat them, leaving us the rulers of the world.
Do you like making an impression? Who doesn't? Well, when you want to dress to impress for less, check out Rail Scott at Prime Ties to Go on Facebook and Instagram. Quality accessories for men and women at low, counted low prices. everything from ties, bow ties, watches, bracelet, earrings to pocketbooks. Don't miss out. Check out Rail Scott, the owner, at Prime Ties to Go. That's Prime Ties, the number 2, Go, on Facebook and Instagram.
Squad Network, the future of radio.
Yo, what's good? This is Trey Frazier, staff. This is the Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. Make sure y'all tune in to us every Tuesday night, 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time.
He's the brain of operations.
I'm telling you right now, book it!
And him, he's along for the ride. But together, they bring you sports like you've never heard before. The Wait a Minute Show, a new way of discussing today's trending sports topics. And now, back to the show with your host, Jolani J.B. Bodie.
Indeed, Lopan. Indeed. Lopan, let me just ask you, are you really ready for this Big L Award? Indeed. Okay, I figured. You look like you are really getting laser focused. Indeed. You look like you are locked in, my friend. Indeed. You look like you are really ready to throw them balls. Indeed. Okay, I figured that. But before Lopan does that and we hand out that Big L Award, let's finish up what we came to do, and that is to continue to talk about sports. So we're going to stay in college football, and the next thing we're going to talk about, or next thing I'm going to talk about, is this whole player opt-out in college football. Now, with the pros, we know they're opting out, but that also has rolled into college football as well. So lately, the latest... Who's the latest, Lopan? Go ahead, pull that up for me so I can take a look at it. But Minnesota wide receiver, and I know Vince Wright is going to be upset about this, but, it is what it is. Rashad Bateman, wide receiver, who was really, really, gaining some steam, really making a name for himself in college football, and everyone was looking for a big year from him, and he was going to be, probably one of the best wide receivers coming out in this class, has decided to opt out. Penn State linebacker Michael Parsons, he was an All-American in 2019. He has decided to opt out as well. Both of these guys have decided that they're going to just focus on the draft in 2021, get ready for that, and take their chances that way because they don't want to mess with this COVID-19. Let's just put it that way. And also not wanting to mess with this thing is Michigan State defensive end Jacob, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing this name right. It's Panasiewicz, and I'm probably saying that wrong. But I bring those names up really is because these kids are not. They're not dumb. They're not, naive. They're not, they understand, what's at hand. They understand what is before them. Now, Jacob from Michigan State, he's going to come back for his senior year. So this is not just all about the NFL. This is really about these kids' health and, what is available for them, the following year and what they're willing to sacrifice. And I just think there's going to still be more players in college football that is going to opt out. You do have a lot of these schools being demanded, to have safer or better protocol when it comes to, the COVID-19. But big names definitely, have big influences on who does what. And makes it easier for the next person to make a decision maybe that they've been thinking about and sitting on the fence with as far as like what's in my best interest, what's in my family's best interest. Again, we're asking young adults who are going to make mistakes, who feel that they are invincible, who Not always. Because I used to be one of them. Not always think it all the way through. Get halfway and then just say, you know what, the rest, yeah, it should make sense, right? And like, no, Jelani, you should have sat down and thought about that. And that is what we're putting in these kids' lap. And some of these kids can handle it and some of these kids can't. So when you have, kids that are like, this is a difficult decision. College is supposed to be, one of your, most memorable moments, especially if you're playing sports. It's supposed to be, not always. And the last thing you want is to say, you know what? I came back, I played, and it didn't turn out the way it should have. And I'm not talking about performance-wise. So there's going to be others, and that could impact, college football to a certain degree because there's a lot more colleges. So it's not like the NFL where you only got 32 teams. But everyone is paying attention. Everyone is looking at this thing. Everyone has decided, I really need to take this thing seriously. Now, this is a totally different situation. Way total, where I was, defending the kids that didn't want to play in the bowl games because they didn't want to risk an injury. But this is something no one should ever question, where someone makes a choice, their health over a game. That's what it is. Even the kids that's, working on the draft, this is still about their health. Football only lasts for so long. It is a young person's game, a very young person's game. Let me just say that, because you could be 30 and be not playing football for years. So it's a very young person's game. There is so much ahead of these kids that they are deciding, hey, I got to be responsible. This is the way I want to be responsible. Speaking of responsibility, we got to hold some people responsible. But before we do that, let's discuss this whole thing about the NBA bubble. And I got a question. Well, I'll go back. Let me go back to the Wait a Minute Show chat room real quick before I move into this, because I just saw something. Cedric Galloway says, so have all the Power 5 conferences agreed to a league-only schedule yet? And I think there may be only one left, because I know the Big Ten obviously started, SEC joined, ACC joined, I think the Pac-12, we might be waiting on, it might be vice versa. We might be waiting on the Pac-12 or the Big 12. But I want to say that, yes, all five power conferences are going to do a conference schedule only. It only makes sense. Even if you got four, it doesn't make sense, to be that one, because you're going to be looked at in not a positive light. Where you, like we just said, we got UConn, who just said, no, we're not playing football at all. And then you got the Ivy League, who said, we are good. We will push this thing back and then we'll decide what we do, later. And then the other conferences, that have joined. So, yeah, I want to say all five have decided to just really do conference only. But because you're going to get torched if something happens and you got a full it's already dangerous just playing one game, okay? COVID doesn't have rules to say 5 games or more, then it increases, So it's already a chance. So decreasing the games, yeah. So I think all five power conferences have, if I remember correctly there. But let me talk about this NBA bubble. And I'm going to ask a question. Why is the NBA bubble working? Why is it working? The NBA has not had any cases of COVID-19, anyone popping up positive in 3 weeks. And when I say anybody, I'm talking about everyone there. Not just the players. We're talking about coaches. We're talking about